Okay, Katrina, so what do you got?
So my offer is a 2-day luxurious retreat at the Montage in Laguna Beach.
Love it. Love that place.
And this is for high-achieving, successful women who have, like, checked the boxes. Mm-hmm. They've got the career, they've got the family, they've got the home. Mm-hmm. But on the inside, they're, like, so stressed, they're overwhelmed, they're on the edge of burnout. Mm-hmm. And we're going to come for 2 days, and we're going to learn how to release the stress, how to manage the stress in really concrete ways that are super easy that you can do every day. We're going to gain clarity on what it is that you want to create in your life, whether it's at home, in your career, get really clear, and then come away with not only the tools to manage the stress and to have that clarity, but like what are some like concrete things that I can do, like setting boundaries or having conversations that need to be had, so that really these women can like be happy and have fun in their lives.
What do you want to charge for it?
$7,000, and that includes overnight accommodations for what? So it'll be like a Friday to Saturday.
So it's free.
Yes, it is philanthropy.
Julie, get in there. Come on, Jules, we need you.
So first, I want to say when it comes, I like this is, I can do this all day. I love this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to kind of take you through a journey that I take my clients through. So the first thing that we have to understand about an offer is that people do not buy a thing, they buy the transformation. People also don't buy suffering or pain, they buy pleasure. So yes, we know the problem is the stress, the overwhelm, but what problem are you solving? Because that's kind of what we want to root into. So when you were talking, what came up for me was like, oh, this is basically like a pleasure retreat. Like you are going to allow them to experience for the first time ever pleasure in their lives faster and easier than ever before. And so it's about when you were explaining it to me, and I just want to be very mindful again with the words, you were explaining all of the things that they don't want, which is great, and we have to know that, but I want you to also explain what it is they do want. Because when you're sitting here, it's like, I'm already overwhelmed. I don't want to talk about how overwhelmed I am.
Yes.
I'm already stressed. I don't want to talk about how stressed I am.
Yes.
I want to talk about where I'm moving to. And so when you kind of think about, a good metaphor for this is you think about, let's say you want to go on a dream vacation. And you're like, okay. And you call the travel agent. The travel agent is like, Julie, you will not believe it. The back bathroom of the airplane has toilet paper in it. And then guess what, Julie? You will not believe it. The stewardess, she's wearing her hair back. Oh, and are you ready for a bonus? They're going to give you pretzels. Don't sell me the airplane. Sell me the hammock on the beach with the pina colada when I get there. So when you're thinking about just articulating the value of your offer, you want to be thinking of that. We're not selling them the plane or the features of the plane of what's getting them there or or where they've been. We're selling them where they're going. So focus more on the pleasure and just have fun with that. Like sit down, create vibes, get music going, essential oils, like throw up that thesaurus.com and just start like having a field day. Yep. The words that you want to use to really articulate the value of this experience. So that was the first thing.
So good, Julie. Are we the same person? She uses the same analogy. I'm like, don't talk to me about the trip part. That's hard. Just tell me about the pina colada.
Yes.
Okay, now the price.
Yes. So when you said $7,000 for 2 days, it was great until you told me that included stay. For me, just from my own experience, I have never offered that. Not to say that you can't. I know people that go super high ticket and they're like, we want to offer all accommodations taken care of you because we don't want you to have to worry about a thing. And that's great, but that's a different type of experience. And so you have to root into what experience fully, really envision it. What experience are you really creating that you and or your team really want to take on behalf of the amazing women that are going to be coming to this. So 7,000 sounds great for the 2 days of where you're at. And then just start rooting into more of what happens when they leave. Like what is that pleasure promise? Another thing that you can ask yourself that I'll have my clients do, I call it a for fun and for freedom filter. So we take what you want to offer and then we filter it through these two things. Is it for fun and is it for freedom? And everything has to be a heck yes when you say, is it for fun to offer 2 nights overnight at the Montage? Yes! If it's not, then then it's a no. So just put it through the for fun and for freedom filter with every single idea that you're pulling through. Does that help?
Can I pull something out of what Katrina's asking and ask you? So I want to now go a little deeper, okay? Because I don't want to let you off the hook because I want you to win. So when you said $7,000 including accommodations, there's because a little bit of that like, ooh, it's scary to charge that just for myself, but obviously I can charge it for Laguna. Well, they do that without you. They don't need you to sell for them, right?
Yeah.
So let's see because it'd be one thing for you to walk away and she's like, so she said $7,000 for 2 days. And you're like, yeah, but there's a big old boulder that she had in her backyard in between me and just being able to offer that. So let's talk about that. What feels not okay about saying it's $7,000 without the accommodations? And then Julie, let's see what you would have to say about what's in there.
I know that those women, like, I can see them in my head.
I want to stop you. I don't want to know what you know. I want to know what you feel.
I feel like they're not in my audience yet. That I'm not attracted to them.
And so what does that mean?
Like, I've just been playing small.
And because you've been playing small, that means?
Like you said earlier, that my vibration has been like, let's play small. And so I'm not attracted to the clients that I really work with, that I really have help.
So let's pretend that we're not playing small anymore. Okay? Because this is about for fun and for freedom. Smallness is not for fun and it's not for freedom. So when you think about that, what number feels fun and what number feels freedom?
I mean, when we were talking about the numbers, like that 7,000, that feels good.
Is that 7,000 moving you to higher evolutions of growth?
Me personally?
Mm-hmm. Okay, well then it's a no.
Oh my God. Hallelujah. So what would feel like it's moving you?
It has to feel cutting edge, juicy.
10,000.
Dare I say a little bit scary.
Yeah. Julie, just so you know, Katrina's a badass lawyer, okay?
She's a badass something. Yeah. Okay, attorney, boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's say this, let's say that you had a client that was being taken advantage of. And you have to go in and you have to show up for her. You have to suit up and show up for her and make sure that she receives what she is truly worthy of. It ain't $7,000.
Yeah, 15,000.
How's that feel?
It feels amazing. It feels good. And it feels a little scary, but definitely the value is there.
Mm-hmm. And now you can start to play and get again, we're in a creative pandemic. We need to start having fun. Now you get to start getting really creative and you get to start really playing with now what are we going to create, co-create, and manifest with this $15,000 lifetime, life-giving, transformative experience that is so magical because guess what? It's never going to happen again in that exact way. Because then you're going to go on to create other things and have other experiences. But that moment in time will never happen again. And that requires an ownership and an ownership. And you're going to be able to do that with that $15,000.
Julie, can we address something that she said?
Yes.
Because I want to get your take on it. So you said, I've been playing small, which was a beautiful reveal, by the way. I feel you. I've been there. I continuously have my own version of that. And I think everybody appreciated that you just came so clean with it. And then you said, they're not in my audience. I don't think that's true. First of all, I know it's not true because I know some of your friends now because she lives in Laguna and she's a lawyer And one of her doctor friends had this big charity event. Katrina was generous enough to mention my husband, who you know, to do stand up, and he did a great job. He went down to Laguna, and I saw how much money they raised. I know who your friends are.
Right.
So number one, I'm onto you. But even if I wasn't onto you, I want to talk to you about this. I want to hear what's coming through for you, because I think a lot of times, and you said it before, I'm not for mass, right? I'm not Walmart. So you might have, and I don't remember offhand, but you might have this many thousands of people in your Instagram following or community or what have you. You're not looking for those people. You're looking for a small sliver of those people, and they've been waiting for you to call them up. So can you help us understand? I want to hear your perspective on this. If we're sitting here thinking the majority of people in our audience are not the person who could afford this, what's the next move? Is the next move knowing we're calling up the people in the audience who can, versus, oh, now I have to start going elsewhere? And if we want to call up the people who are there, who are a small segment of a segment inside of the audience, how do we start to talk to those people?
Yeah, that's great. So the first thing that I want to share is that when I made that declaration of like, I'm not Walmart, that was a declaration that came from my soul.
Yeah.
It didn't come from a fear-based place of, well, I wish I could be mass, but since I'm not mass, I'm going to tell myself that I'm not mass. Like, I'm not mass, I don't want to be mass. So for you with that, when you're saying these people aren't in my audience, is it because they're really not in your audience, or because you're afraid that they're not in your audience? And you're afraid that they won't invest, and they're afraid that they're going to say no to you. And so the reflection back to this is that I hear that, and I see that, and I know even a lot of times if we are moving to higher evolutions, like even if we're going from a lower ticket offer to a higher ticket, we'll say to ourselves, okay, so I kind of have to like plan that it may take some time because, there's this big shift, and now people are used to giving me, I'm giving them my firstborn child for $30, and now I'm asking for $30,000, so that's going to be a shift. Yes and no, and I want you to be so flippin' ready for people to say yes to you.
So good.
Period. And so what needs to happen for that, right? Goes back to when I talked about offers, right? Rituals, repetitions, shared language. What is the shared language? Again, this is where we get to be creative and have fun. You know who you are talking to. You have, because when you start to do your vision of the offer, you start to see that woman. You start to see when she walks into the montage, what is she wearing? What purse does she have on? If she's, finishing up a phone call, who is she talking to? When she embraces you, what's the first thing that she says? Get that. For me, I get that detailed. Like in my, not that I'm like, well, my avatar drives a Range Rover and she's 37. No, that's old guard. But I really root into the vision of that because I'll literally create it.
Yeah.
And then I want you to think about like, what food are you eating? Evian water. What gifts are you gifting? Think through all of that. And that is going to start to reveal to you what that shared language is. You know who you're talking to. You know because you know. And so start speaking to them in the way that you would want to be spoken to. If someone was offering you this at this really beautiful, high-level luxury experience, what would you need to hear? What would that shared language be? And you start talking that. And that's for anyone that's either creating something new or you're shifting. You have to be so ready for people to say yes to you.
Yeah.
And then you get to that place where like, okay, so now I'm going to suit up and show up and I'm going to start talking this language. And I'm going to let go of the rest. I don't have to get all in the outcome and get all in the results and get all in the but what ifs. I'm just going to start speaking their language because I know it because we share it.
Beautiful. Katrina, how are you feeling now? A little different?
Yeah, it feels really good. And I think what comes up is the thought of like, so in 2020, when COVID happened, I got laid off. And then I think that knowing that I was being led in the right path and this is my purpose, like it's not to be a lawyer, it's to do this. But there's like that, maybe that I still have not, I never even really acknowledged it as like, something that was like a trauma, right? Like getting laid off, and it just came up for me that like there's like this rejection in a way, and so it's just knowing that even though that happened, that's what led me down this path that I want, that I love. I didn't want to go back to that life, but then it's almost like, well, can I call those women in?
Yeah.
If I was pushed out.
No one can reject you but you. And there's a good question when we're going through that transformation, because I honor your experience and I honor what you went through. And just your awareness of being able to say, I don't think I fully processed this. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because now you can accept and then start to take action towards the processing and towards that shedding. And this is universal. We are in a massive, transformative transgression of just shedding the old right now and rebirthing the new. And that is why for so many people,
so true.
Our businesses have felt at times a little clunky this year, a little idle, dare I say, a little unsatisfying. And we can honor that and have the awareness of it, and we don't have to attach to it and make it be something and, stay there forever. But this is a universal shift that we are all being called to level the fuck up.
You're so right.
Period. There's nothing else.
There's
no going back. There's no, I wish it would just go back to what? There's no going back. There's no normal.
There's this
no
awakening of collective consciousness.
Yes.
Like you can feel, I was on the phone with my daughter's principal as I drove here this morning, and I'm like, they just need to be engineers. They just need to solve problems. They need to have tools in their hands.
Yes.
Stop feeding them social studies 3 hours a day. Stop it. And I'm like, it's all being dismantled.
Right.
There's no more factory workers. You're going to have to be entrepreneurs. You have to be creative. They can't outsource your creativity. No. They can't outsource your love. They can't outsource your vulnerability. No. Then that's totally a remodeling of everything, and the ego has got to go. And so you are right where you need to be. You are going to call people up and move them into all possibility that is inside of them, which is the biggest gift for them, because they can then stop trying to be inside this maze of a rat race where there is no out. There's no finish. It doesn't work. So, it's so exciting for you. All right. Who else feels brave enough to stand up? Thank you, Katrina. Okay, Brenda.
So I help parents of highly sensitive children navigate school, relationships, and behavior so that they can confidently raise and advocate for their children, knowing that their children have the right tools and support.
I have so many clients for you.
Okay, so she said I help parents advocate for their kids.
Highly sensitive children.
Highly sensitive children.
Okay,
Yes.
and what's the container and what's the price?
So the container is a high-level coaching that includes information for the transformation. So because there's so many questions that come up, in addition to one-on-one support, and it's $20,000
For what?
for 6 months.
$20,000, 6 months. It does include, what does the private mentorship look like? The one-to-one?
Private mentorship looks like a VIP day
Okay.
where we troubleshoot just the things that are coming up for your family and work through them, and then Boxer support throughout the program.
Okay, so the container is it's the VIP day,
Right.
and then Boxer support. How long is the Boxer
6
support?
months.
Okay, so just one in-person VIP day, one-to-one, and then continued 6 months of Boxer support.
And coaching support in the group setting, so
Oh.
weekly coaching.
Okay. I'm getting a no, because that is a lot of high-level support for $20,000. Yes.
That's my issue.
Yes. To me, you could do both, raise the price, or have those be two separate things. Or maybe the one-on-one, if you get into the group container, maybe the one-on-one is like if someone wants to do a one-on-one day with you, they can, but it's an additional fee. And the other thing too, you can have an application process or whatever, but for something that you're doing at this level, you may not even know what someone needs at a one-to-one capacity until you have that group experience with them to really feel into it, to make sure that you want to do a one-on-one with this individual or family. Just food for thought there.
I have a question about the offer, just because we know each other, right? And so I want to know why you selected this offer, because the last time we talked, you were going to do Reiki healing, helping women learn Reiki healing. Then there was a part of you that just wants to like do coaching with your spiritual authority because you were coming into claiming that. So this is the first I'm hearing about you coaching people in the parenting setting in regards to their kids, although I'm not put off by it because you've been teaching for so long that I know that you have a command of all of that language and understanding of kids and all their well-being. So that I got, but I was surprised just based upon the other things that felt like a hell yes to you in terms of your own excitement. So can you just share why you now chose this as the offer?
It's a yes and.
Okay. And now that you know all that, you can take it from there.
Behind the spiritual coaching, but I felt like the thing that was missing for me in public education was I felt like we were doing real harm to kids. And it was hard to know what to do to solve the problem and to not be able to do it. And so I feel like it's all of this combined into one thing in helping kids.
Okay.
I feel like you're still a little here.
Okay.
It's like and I mean, because you were a teacher for so long, it makes sense. Like, you're trying to get it right.
Yeah.
Because we've been told, and the way that we were all raised to learn is that the goal is to always get the right answer, which can lack a lot of creativity. So I don't know what the right answer is for you, but I know that you do. And I know that if you will allow yourself to really sink in, to really feel through when I think about my offering to the world. Yeah. And that's the thing, like sometimes when I say stuff that people are like, Julie, really? Like, relax, like you're offering to and I'm like, no, it has to, I have to have it be that. It's like my children's lives depend on it. That's how serious I take it. Because it can't be anything. I'm not gonna do a half-ass offer. It has to be a full-bodied, expansive, again, it's moving you to new evolutions of growth. The other thing that you said, which kind of caused me to go, I don't know, is that you were like, information. People don't buy information. People don't want information. We are overloaded with information. The person that you were just describing to me, they want to help their children so everyone can feel flippin' better because their children are so sensitive to every sensory thing that's happening and their freaking families can't function because of it. They're depressed, they're overworked, they're stressed, they haven't had sex in months. Like it's deep flippin' shit. So how are you coming in? Not with information, but you are literally coming in and you are helping them. It's like a tree that just needs a better soil. Like we've got to take the tree out, re-fertilize the soil, and then put the tree back in so the roots have a better system to grow. Yeah, beautiful. So what does that feel like for you? Like, and take your years of craft, your experience. Are you a mom? Mm-hmm. Your years of raising children yourself, like everything that you have to pull this out of you and have it come from here instead of just being like, I want to get the right offer. That may be the right offer, but I want to feel it more from you first.
It's really about the moms. It starts with the moms.
It's always about the moms.
It's always about the moms, because I think that as moms, we have this fear that we're going to lose our kids. And if we know how to take care of ourselves, it's a little bit better.
And that, even deeper to that, why we're afraid of losing our kids is then that means that we're done. So it's really about the mom. We don't want to feel that feeling of loss.
I'm just wondering if you went from where you were the last several times that we've connected on this, it was about, I really want to own that I am a channel. I really want to own that I am a warrior, that I have crossed the ocean inside. I really want to own that I can put my hands on people and they can find their alignment. I really want to own all that. And what you just said with tears in your eyes was, it really is just the moms. It's really about, for you in this moment, nourishing their soul. And so you just moved from, I want to give parents information to, I want moms to feel so in wholeness that their child moves into resonance.
Yes, that's it.
And so I wonder if you moved out of where you were, which we just went all the way back to,
Yeah.
because you wanted to focus on women coming into that full integrity with themselves. Wonder if you moved from there because, and I'm gonna let you answer obviously, but was there a feeling of like, well, no one will buy it, or I don't trust it enough, or at least I can show proof and credibility that I was in the classroom for all these years. So that makes more linear sense, and therefore people will pay me to still be in some form a teacher because I was a teacher in that way, even though you're a teacher in many ways. And what would it take for you to allow yourself to stand in your truth, like the seals in La Jolla, and offer what you really came to offer?
Well, you're absolutely right. You saw it. I want to connect with the moms, and there was a part of me that thought moms wouldn't buy it for themselves.
Well, I know that that's not true because moms buy lots of things for themselves all the time.
Right.
And for their kids. And
Right.
moms are the buyers. Women are the buyers.
Yeah.
Always. There's something that I feel like you are pretending not to know about your purpose
Yes, that's it.
that I want you to root into.
Okay.
I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but there's so much power there. It's there, but you're pretending not to know that it's there. And when we do that, there's always a payoff.
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to be the next Esther Hicks.
You're supposed to what?
I'm supposed to be the next Esther Hicks.
She's a spiritual teacher. She
Yes.
really is a channel.
Yeah, I got chills.
She got chills. Yeah.
So why are you denying that?
Because you know it's true.
It's true.
Because your soul is giving you a signal.
And the thing is, the guides are like, it's like you have this veil. It's all it is a veil. And literally all the guides, the lineage, the Akashic record, all the things are like here. And they can't come through because you won't lift the veil.
Ooh.
This is so good.
Yes! Yes! Oh my God.
So lift the veil?
That's what.
Like, I want, like, this is my vision. I see you. Where do you live?
Oregon.
Portland.
Portland? Like, I just get this sense that you need to go to Portland, get out in nature, go outside where you have space, and, like, I want you to freaking go there. Like, speak in tongues, channel the stuff, let it come through. Like, I want you to really allow yourself to go deep into what you are feeling, because there's a lot more that's available to you.
Let's talk about what you just said. That one sentence you said before. You said there's a payoff.
Yes.
What right now, the part of you that's really you, let's ask it to come forward because it knows everything. What for your avatar, for this ego, for this Brenda, what's the payoff for having the veil on?
The payoff for having the veil on is,
Like, what would it cost you to remove that veil?
oh, I'm protecting myself.
From what?
I've got like this shell on.
Mm-hmm.
What are you scared of? What will people think if you're like, this is me, sassy, freaking spiritual master, and this is what it costs? Yeah, what's there that's in your way? Is it that, like, what is it? Let's just be conscious of it because it's running the show right now.
I think it's fear of stepping out into it.
And then what? What could happen?
I would be a target.
For what? Judgment?
Maybe, but that doesn't feel. It's not judgment. Judgment? No. I think it's being physically hurt. Like fear of being physically targeted.
Did you ever have like a woman in your lineage that was ever physically assaulted?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like inherited family trauma stuff right there.
Well, it's lived physical trauma.
She had
There you go.
She did. Yeah, she's a survivor.
Okay.
I have an appointment set Monday with my fitting healing teacher.
Great. I mean, you're doing the work.
On this.
So if you were going to be your own version of what Esther Hicks represents to you, which you know you came to do, what does that offer look like? What does it cost? What's the container? And what are you delivering?
I think it looks like speaking. I think it looks like events in the big ballrooms.
Uh-huh. Okay, so what would be your suggestion for that?
I mean, ballrooms, this is lots of people. There's not like a number that comes through to me. What I'm like feeling called to say is that your lived experience with assault, that's already been done. That part of your life, that part of whatever that was. So it's not happening again. It's already happened. You don't have to worry about that. So if we can lovingly detach.
Yes.
And then the other thing is that this is okay. When I was a little girl, my grandmother was Pentecostal and she spoke in tongues. And I remember being little and being very afraid of it. You know, I would go to her church and it was just very dynamic and big and, you know, people doing all of this stuff. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized that was the closest I had physically gotten to spirit.
Oof.
And that's why I was so terrified of it. Because it was so powerful.
Yeah.
And so when you were talking about lifting the veil, a part of me just wonders if it's not the physical assault as much as it's just the power that that can bring. And that assault on your system, like it literally shocks the system, maybe.
That's powerful.
But yeah, I mean, I see that. I see a big ballroom. I see that for you. I don't know a price.
Let me just say something about that. So tomorrow night, Julie's in town for a couple things. Marianne Williamson's going to be in my house. I'll take pictures and the show will be really fun.
I like where you're going with this. I already know where you're going with this.
Yeah, she does. So Marianne is obvious, you know, a lot of us know who she is, and this is her life, this is her existence. She speaks in ballrooms, she speaks in stadiums, she's been doing this for years and years and years. She
also speaks in houses.
She speaks in my house. But she started at the Bodhi Tree bookstore, which I used to love. Do you remember it on Melrose?
Yeah,
it was so cute. I hate that they took that whole part of Melrose down. But anyway, it was a spiritual bookstore. And it was definitely my favorite place to hang out. Anyways, so she just used to frequent this bookstore, and there was an AIDS crisis. And she had this big message. And she was talking one day to the guy who owned the bookstore, and he said, "Why don't you do something here?" You have to know how big the Bodhi Tree bookstore was. It was like half the size of this room. It was a little tiny house that was maybe 1,100 square feet that they converted into a bookstore. So half of it, you could walk through little shelving aisles, and half of it was like the back room. It was very small. They had a tiny little patio that was also about the size of this square. And he said, "You should just speak here because that would be wonderful." So her initial audience was gay men who were suffering with HIV, AIDS actually, because they didn't yet have the medication to put people into HIV. It was like full blown. And she loved these people. And they didn't have anywhere else to go where they were loved. People were scared. People were afraid. They were shunned. They were ostracized. Here she was in West Hollywood in a spiritual bookstore patio, talking and handing out unconditional love. And it got bigger. And they brought their friends. And they brought their friends. And it kept getting bigger. So they moved into a bigger space. And they moved into a bigger space. And she kept saying, "God, just use me. I'm here for it. Just use me." And eventually she was at the Saban Theater on Wilshire every Tuesday night, 1,200 seats full every Tuesday night. Somewhere along the way in the second year of speaking to just rooms that just kept naturally getting bigger, a man came up to her and he said, "You should write a book." And she said, I don't think so. I've asked that question to Spirit. I don't feel that I can sit at a computer and write a book. And he said, "But you don't have to, because I've been recording you speaking. So I'm going to transcribe it for you." And she said, "Look, then I didn't write the book." And he's like, No, I'm going to promise you that if I transcribe these words, we could submit this." That was Return to Love.
Wow.
That was literally Return to Love. And somebody gave it to somebody who gave it to Oprah. And she had her come on. And overnight, it sold more books than any book had ever sold. Because it was the first one of those where Oprah was like, oh my God, this book. And boom, right? And then the rooms got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I feel like what we do is we come up with these beautiful visions, and then we make it impossible to actually allow the vision in, because it's not here to there, it's here to here.
Yeah.
So what would be, do you think, the Bodhi Tree bookstore? Where is that experience for you? Because that's your next move. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, speakers speak. Channelers channel. You don't need a ballroom to do that. And so you just have to start, which is what you're saying. It's the vision's there, and you'll get there, and it is there, it already is. And so just for today, what's the next step for you?
And I want to insert, and I want to hear what both of your thoughts are on this. I like that you get paid now.
Yes.
Like,
I don't want to wait for the ballroom.
right. So it's like, instead of kind of dodging where you really need to show up, right? Like, what's the next move for you to transact around a transformation? Because you need that for your growth, and so does your client.
Yes.
So what do you think? What could we come up with in this divinely guided moment where you're being held by all of these spiritual guides? What really is the offer? Because we went from information for parents to I want to own the fact that I am a spiritual master to, well, instead of that, I'm going to speak to a ballroom. What is calling you in? What is your sacral authority saying to you really and truly is the offer that you just have an anti-self that's keeping you from knowing and from acting on? What does that maybe look like?
I think it looks like people want to be in this resonance. I think people want to know how to access this connection. I think they have this inside of everybody, and people want so desperately.
Okay, because you said 7 or 8 minutes ago, moms won't pay for themselves. So we've come fully around, haven't we? So what will you charge that mom? And where will you meet her? What container does that look like? And what do you think that we can charge for it?
I think it looks like a coaching container.
Okay.
Is it virtual or in person?
I'd like to do both.
Okay.
I'd like to have an in-person element,
Okay.
maybe with a retreat at the end of the container.
Okay.
So 12 virtual sessions followed by an in-person 2-day retreat.
And how much?
I think 15,000.
Okay.
Feels better.
Yeah. And what would prevent you from sharing that and allowing people to pay you that?
I think in this moment, I don't feel like anything would. It feels clean. It feels clear. I feel not confused. For maybe the first time